I am Venki, and this is the Working Athlete Podcast. Here, I talk to working athletes from all walks of life and experts from various sports to provide you with inspiration, training tips, time management, and lifestyle advice. If this is something that interests you, please make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any future episodes. Today's guest, Praveen Prabhakaran, is a custom frame builder from Pune. I have seen a few of the frames that he has built, and they are real works of art. In this episode, we talk about how he got into frame building as well as what are the highs and lows involved in the process. We talked about how one can go about ordering a frame from him and what can be expected in terms of attention to detail, etc., as well as what are the budgets for various types of bike frames he works on. He's the only frame builder that I know of, and it was pretty exciting to talk about bikes with him. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. But first, this episode is brought to you by Findbetter.ai. Findbetter is a social networking app for cycling and running enthusiasts to discover and shop together. For a cycling enthusiast like me, it is a treasure trove to find all sorts of bikes and accessories, both used and in new. I tend to get a lot of direct messages asking for where to find a bike on a budget, etc. Nowadays, I simply tend to direct them to the Find Better app. It is an app that is completely free to use and is available both on Google Play Store and the App Store. Download and you can follow me on the app as well. I am there on the app as Bikey Venky, Bikeyvenky. This episode is brought to you by The Bike Affair. If you are in search of a one-stop destination that caters to all your cycling needs, our today's sponsor, The Bike Affair, is the perfect place to check out. I have known the founders of The Bike Affair, Krish and Gokul, personally for nearly 15 years now. In fact, my first century ride was with Krish back in 2008. They are both exceptional human beings and entrepreneurs that believe in providing exceptional service to their customers. And it shows. With over 14 years of experience, the Bike Affair has established itself as a trusted source offering honest advice and exceptional service. They are offering a special treat for the listeners of this podcast. You can enjoy a 10% discount on your first order by using the code BikeyVenky on their website. So if you are in Hyderabad, visit their store in Kondapur, or if you are anywhere else in India, shop online by using the link thebikeaffair.com. I will leave the link in the show notes. Now, enjoy the podcast. Praveen, welcome to the Working Athlete Podcast. It's a pleasure
Hello.
having you on the show.
Hello, Venki. Hi, hi.
Praveen, for the uninitiated, maybe do a brief intro
Okay.
about yourself.
All right. So I build custom frames. I started building custom frames full time since 2010. But I built my very first frame when I was in my 11th grade in 1996. So
Oh,
I've been all,
wow.
yeah. So I've been, I always wanted to do something, as far as bikes go. So
Right.
I've been tinkering with bikes since then. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. So for the listeners, this is Praveen. He's uh, one of the finest frame builders in the country. Custom, he can build to your fit, to your specifications, to the with the metals and materials that of your choice. There is no limit to the magic that he can do with when it comes to you know bike frames and building bikes.
Thank
So
you.
I wanted to kind of talk to you about uh, bike building, frame building,
Sure.
uh, but also a little bit about your background in sport and your relationship
Okay.
with sport growing up, right?
All right.
Let us start there.
Okay. So I'll tell you. So I always see this is way back when I was in my ninth or tenth grade. That's when Hero launched Hero Ranger, the straight bar mountain bike.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
so
right.
for some strange reason, I never liked that. I was like, "What is this? It's such an ugly looking bike." And I had a BSSLR. I was like, "This bike looks so cool." So, what happened? It just happened. I mostly used to ride on the road. One fine day, I don't know why. Not because of Hero Ranger or anything like that. And back then, there were no Star TV, no, none of this. Satellite TV and all that. So I had no idea about what mountain biking is. I did not know that term existed. I just happened to take my BSSLR. There was a mountain right next to my house, and there was no trail. And I remember coming down that hill, no trail, nothing on the BSSLR, and I came down and I noticed my bike had completely lost its alignment. The front wheel was like this, the rear wheel was like this. So, but it was fun. So I was like kind of hooked on, but still I did not like the Hero Ranger. Okay, so uh, fast forward to 1 or 2 years, and I after this incident, I was like, bicycles should have suspension. I was like, yeah, it will be much more easy to control the bike and all that. And I remember I was in Kerala on vacation, and I was like lying down and watching some movie or whatever, and this ad of Hercules rock shocks, it came on TV, and this guy, he jumps and he lands, and then he does that suspension going up and down. I'll tell you, Venki, I see, I'm getting goosebumps even right now when I'm talking about it. I was so
Right.
excited. I was so excited. I was like, this is it. Then I was like, okay, I need to buy that bike. So then, pestering mom for like so many times, "Mom, I want to buy that bike, that bike." Mom is like, "No, no, 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 no." And then there came a time that I used to dream about this bike so much. I'm in college at that time. I think 11th. I'm like lying on the bed. I'm just looking at the ceiling. I'm just just dreaming about that bike. And every time my mom used to see me doing that, she knew I was thinking about bikes. Okay, with others, they are thinking about movie stars or whatever. And I'm thinking about this bike. And finally she got me that bike, and then there was no looking back. Then I explored most of the trails around Pune, and this bike, obviously back then it was not a real mountain bike. It was a bike that looked like a mountain bike. So I used to ride, and I have broken almost everything on that bike, including the frame. Okay, that thing, I was like, nay, this is not it. I want to build my own bike. I want to. So then I, like I said, in 11th, I obviously no knowledge about what bike geometry or whatever it is. I took a hacksaw blade, and I don't know whether you can see it in the camera. Is there a, can you see a scar here?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay. So that's my first car of building the first bike. And I was cutting away to glory, and the hacksaw, just no tools also, just the hacksaw blade, not even the handle of it, just the hacksaw blade. It slipped and it cut. And then that's how I built my first full suspension mountain bike. Okay. I just directly first bike, full suspension bike. And then after that, I built, one of my friends saw it. He's like, "Oh, this bike looks good. I also want to make one." Then I again built one more bike for him, and then after that, there was a lull. I graduated. Then life happened basically. I
No,
took
but
up a job.
no, but
Yeah.
curious. How did you source the components, the suspensions, and all that?
All was from a Bajaj MET. The suspension was from a Bajaj MET scooter. That
Oh,
vehicle. Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
okay.
so that is how the suspension happened. Components were all readily available, Shimano Tourney, and what all those 5 speed uh, freewheel and all that. It was all basic stuff from a regular bicycle, nothing high end. So
Right.
that's how I built it. And then I obviously, like, I took up a job. I was in 3D animation. I am a commerce graduate, by the way, no engineering background. So
Hmm.
I did this animation course for almost, no, not animation course. In that industry, I was there for more than 5 to 10 years, and that industry is very unstable. At that time, I don't know how it is now. That time it was very unstable. After every project, layoff. So
Wow.
then I thought, maybe I should just start to build a bike, because I want to give it a shot. I mean, I did not want to be like 70 years old and then think I should have done that at one point in time. And this is the time when the bike market in India was slowly growing. The Firefox had come in, Trek had come in. So I was like, maybe I'll just give it a shot. And then, okay, the first bike I built, that easily weighed as much as a two-storied building. Okay, it was like super heavy. so then I was like, by that time, this I was a part of the forum, this bike zone.
Bike zone. Yes, of
Yeah, yeah,
course.
yes, that's the best thing that happened to me, by the
All of us,
way.
all of us have origins from there, I think, right?
Yes, yes, yes. All of us were there. So
We owe a lot to Abhi of Bike Zone,
yes, I don't know where he's right
for
now.
our starts. I think he's somewhere in Europe working and riding there, you know.
Acha. Okay, so what happened? I was like, okay, you know what? I don't want to build a bike that weighs like a two-storied building. I want to build a bike that is a little more updated, little more, it looks a lot more finished, lot more presentable. So, like I said, no background in engineering whatsoever. So, I spent at least easily 1 or 2 years just doing research. Okay, just doing research, metallurgy, how to weld, how to braze, geometry, all that. And by the way, I'm still learning about geometry. It is like super complex. So I learned all this. Then I had some savings, a little bit of savings. I put that entire thing into buying Columbus tubes. Uh, and I ordered those. And I'm telling you, Venki, the first time I saw it, I'm like, "Whoa, this is like precious than gold." I'm just looking at those tubes, and again, I'm planning: should I cut it? Should not? Because it is expensive. So one fine day, I gathered the courage, finally cut it, did the mitring and all that, joined the tubes, everything done. So before doing this, I had built the entire set of tools. I built it myself to make a frame, like a frame fixture, a dropout alignment tool, your BB reaming tool, tapping tool, everything. I made that before I built the frame, the first frame, the Psynyde caffeine, if you must have seen on Bike Zone or somewhere. So
Right.
the fixture was like, again, very complex. It has to be precise and everything. So I did all of it. Then the day, I don't remember the day. So I was about to brace it, and I started shivering. I was like, this is I'm going to weld or brace something that is so expensive, and if something goes wrong, done. That entire whatever money it is, like 50, 60,000, it just gone. And I'm shivering. I'm telling you, I'm not kidding. I went to the temple to pray, okay? So that everything comes out nice. So I finally braced it. There was an issue with the rear chain stays. I tried tweaking it. All the more it went out of whack. Then I kept everything aside. I said, not doing it. The money is gone. Let's not do anything. And by the way, I used to do everything in my balcony. Okay, the first frame was built in my balcony. Okay, and I kept it aside for 2 3 weeks. I did not look at it. I had completely taken it off my head. It was like, no, it doesn't exist. Then what I did one day, yeah, I put in so much money. Let's give it a shot. So then I figured out a way to how to straighten it and all that. So I worked on that, and it became perfectly fine. I welded up the seat stays. The frame is good. The frame is still with me. And that bike I posted on Bike Zone, that I built this bike. And one that was my very first customer. He placed an order for the Hammerhead, and then there was Boni Gopalan. Uh,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, he placed an order for the Provence. It's a commuter kind of a bike. And then Prabhuda, Prabhuda Das Gupta, he placed an order for the
From Mumbai.
from Mumbai. He placed an order for the lugged Autumn. I named it Autumn. So these
Yeah.
three guys, they supported me. I mean, when I was nobody. So these people are. I mean, I'm saying it on record. These people are like, for me, they are like God. So yeah. So that's how it started. So then after that, there's been no looking back. So right now, I'm building bikes for a couple of customers in Canada, one or two customers in the UK, one customer in Italy, uh, and I've made some parts and I've already dispatched it to some people in Japan, Singapore. So yes, that's how it is.
Awesome, man.
Thank you.
Awesome. So I when you said before building your first frame,
Mhm.
you built the all the frame jigs and
Yes,
machining tools. I mean
yes,
the bottom bracket trimming
correct.
tool and everything. So
Mhm.
how did you manage that? What kind of research was involved? What how did you know what materials to source and all that
Right.
to kind of come up with that thing?
Yes,
Because I think these tools themselves would cost a bomb if you
a
have to
lot.
kind of
Yes,
buy from outside, right?
yes, it
You have
does.
to import them.
Yes. So
Mm.
for making the jig, one thing I knew, see, if you have to make anything straight, there has to be something supporting it. I cannot just keep it by hand, weld kiya. No, it doesn't work. So that I knew. So then I did research just on frame jigs, how it is gonna be. So I saw a lot of jigs online. Then I came up with my own design, where I felt, this is going to help me in the way. See, every frame builder has their own technique on how to approach a certain thing. So I thought, if I start doing it this way or that way, it'll be even better. So that is how I started it. And yeah, in the meantime, one more thing happened. Uh, so I wanted to design the very first thing before the frame I made was a stem, okay, CNC machine stem. So I was into 3D animation. So I designed that in a software called 3D Max, which basically is an animation software. No engineering thing in it. So I took that drawing, I took it to a guy who was an engineer. He's like, "Aap kal aa jao, come tomorrow. I'll make it into the 3D CAD this thing." And fine. He made me wait for 1 year. Every day I used to go to him. "Haan, aap kal aao, and because I really wanted it so bad, I was dedicated. I used to go to him religiously. Sir, आपका हो गया क्या? नहीं नहीं नहीं, आप बाद में आओ." One fine day, I just lost it. I gave him the best, most colorful words that I could come up with. I gave him a piece of my mind. I had given him some aluminum blocks and everything. I took everything. I got in the car immediately. I searched on Google where I can learn. There is this software called SolidWorks, which is used for engineering, CAD, and all that. So I found that. I gave them a call. I said I want to learn this. So they said, yeah, it is a full-time course. It's like an 8 hour every day for two months or something. I said, not happening. I said, I have a job. I only have chutti on, Saturday, Sunday. Tell me if you can just teach me. And I said, I don't want to learn everything. Just a few things. I know what I want. I'll tell you. Oh, no, sir, that is not possible. I said, no, I want to learn this. You speak to your seniors or whoever it is and let me know. So this guy called up his seniors or whatever, and he called me back. He's like, okay, we'll do it for you. So they made a custom made training module for me, what I want to learn. And I learned it. And then I shared that, whatever I made, right? I shared it with that guy, the other engineer who was made me wait, right? So I attached it in the mail. I said, now I don't need you anymore. And I sent it to him. So
Perfect.
that is so that is what. So this is how the whole thing happened. Yeah. So it's been a very, very long curve. But one thing is, mm, I don't know anything other than bikes. If you ask me any other question, okay, how what are the rules of football or cricket? I'll be like, what? I don't even know what what those are. So I'm like dedicated, focused. For me, everything is bikes. So I'm slowly venturing into motorcycles. I've just made an electric motocross bike. So yeah, this is how
Wow.
it is. Yeah.
Dude, where does this love for bikes and the making bikes come from?
I have no idea. See, I think since childhood, okay, I'll tell you, when I was like maybe whatever 4 5 years old, I don't remember drawing houses and plants and all that. I was always drawing Lambretta scooters, Tata trucks, and all that. That is the thing that I used to always do. Maybe I was always thinking. Like, my dad used to. He was in the Air Force, so he used to show me things. This is a tank. This. I was always, kind of infatuated with machines and all that. So yeah, that's how it is. And one thing I know about myself, if you ask me to design a car, I cannot do it. As long as it is something naked, where the machine and the engine is seen or the frame is seen, that I can do a good job. But nothing that is like covered, I cannot do that. That's how it is.
Right. Awesome, awesome. So, what kind of riding did you manage in all this,
Yeah,
time?
I'll tell you. So, like I said, I started with the BSSLR, obviously riding on the road. And now, if you ask me, the maximum I can ride on the road is not more than 10 kilometers. Okay? So I cannot do that. But if you put me on a mountain, I may be struggling to climb and all that, but I just love mountain biking. There is nothing beyond it, nothing after it. Mountain biking, it is, yes.
Oh, awesome,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I can totally relate to that. All these bikes that you're mentioning, the BSA SLR,
yeah.
incidentally was one of the most liked bikes when we were growing up.
Yes,
The Hero
Hercules
Thunder,
Rock Shocks,
He-
Hero Thunder. Yes.
Hero Thunder,
Mm.
uh, and I mean, I had the Hero Ranger,
Ranger, yeah.
and yeah, and my one of my friends, one of my college mates had the BSSLR, and
Okay.
he was we our bikes and our bodies kind of matched. I
Mhm.
was always bulky, and he was the wireframe kind of guy.
Okay,
I,
now it is the other way around.
I don't know, but
Okay,
I always had that fascination about that SLR. That I
right.
loved that
That
bike.
was a
But
beautiful bike.
that was a beautiful bike. One
Yeah.
of the best city bikes ever
Yes.
made. I still
Yeah.
look for something like that so that
Oh,
I can
okay.
use it for commute, because
Right.
that was made perfectly for commute,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So the for those who don't know about it, it's like the it had thinner tires, but not like road bike tires, but it's more like
Hybrid bike. Yeah.
hybrid bikes that we see now, right?
Correct.
A- and the Hero Rangers and Hero Thunders were all there, but that was
Yeah.
a good bike for
Yes.
commutes. Yeah.
All the components were chrome. Uh, and on the seat tube there were those bands, silver colored. It looked really pretty.
Really pretty, very well
Yeah.
made bike.
Yeah.
Um, and now I mean, my infatuation with bikes kind of did not start until I actually started riding, maybe in 2008 and stuff.
Mhm.
But I've always used bikes. We have already always used bikes to commute to college, school, and all. Getting to that mountain biking, I started on this thread when you mentioned about mountain biking.
Mm.
I still believe that the
Mm.
best fun you can have on a bike is on a single track, on
Yes.
a
Oh, yes.
on,
Yes, totally.
there is, you can be roadie, you can be triathlete, you can be whatever, but there
Correct.
is no disputing that
That is true.
the most alive you would feel
Absolutely.
on
Yeah.
a bike,
Mm.
is on a single
Single
track
track.
on a mountain bike.
Yes.
I had the good fortune of experiencing that when I was in Vermont for a year, and beautiful trails. You just get out of the door, you have
And you have a
trails that
trail.
are like,
Yeah.
and the guys that I used to work with, we used to get out in the lunch hour, because that was the only time you could actually do something.
Do
The weather,
something.
the weather is good only in a certain window.
Acha.
It is north of, almost close to Canada kind of thing,
Okay.
right? So
Okay.
the days were short and the weather is unpredictable, but in midday during lunchtime you get out and get out for an hour on the trail, and
Wow.
Amazing, amazing.
Okay,
So yeah, I mean, I share your love for
that
mountain
is
bike,
good. Good to
which
know
is
that.
point.
Yeah.
Uh, so you built bikes, right? You did a line of bikes called Furon.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. What's the story behind
So
that?
okay,
How did
so
that start?
yeah, so the when I started off, my brand name was Cyanide Bikes. So all my custom frames were named Cyanide. So what happened is, I got together with a bunch of more people, and they said, let's because they said let's do it in a bigger way. So we'll have some production bikes, and you have your custom frames also. So for the production bikes, like the Furan is a mountain bike, and then we had the Oxygen, which is a hybrid bike. So I designed those bikes here in CAD, and I give the entire specification and everything, the drawing and everything, to share this with a company in China, and they made the entire bikes and they shipped it over and they sold it. And when the Cyanide Furin was launched, 2016, yeah, that was the first bike to have a progressive geometry in the whole of India. There was no other bike having. All the bikes that were available at that point in time were all, I don't know, outdated geometry bikes or whatever. So this bike was like really long, slack, 64, I think 68-degree, no, not 67-degree head angle, and also the first bike to have 120 suspension travel. All the other Indian bikes were with 100. We said, "Chala, let's do it," because we ourselves are riding in those, want to ride those things. So that is how. And when, this is like way back in 94, 95, when we had just started mountain biking, I had access to these old mountain biking magazines, and we used to sit after every ride. You're just, sitting, yeah, we should have a Cannondale, we should have a GT. We used to dream about that. And when we launched the Cyanide, we obviously there would be people who want to ride a bike like what people in Canada are riding, like a long bike with like a progressive geometry and all that. So we said, we should not, ignore those guys, and geometry doesn't cost anything, right? It's it's just, so that's why we thought we'll give a proper bike what, the kind of geometry what people in US or Canada are riding for whatever, with Indian pricing on it. So that is how the whole idea behind the Furan was. Oxygen just happened. It was a hybrid just for everyone. But the Furan, we wanted it to be for, people who are like looking to go hardcore. So that was the idea behind that. That's how it is.
Nice, nice, nice.
Yeah.
Is it still active? Do people can people get
Yes.
Furan and stuff?
Yes, Cyanide is still active, although not so much. I mean, the brand is still there, but in Cyanide right now, it is only focusing on like low to mid range bikes. So I
Mhm.
started this new brand called Intent. Can you see it?
Yeah, yeah. Intent bikes.
Intent
Yeah.
bike. So that's my new brand. So in which I'm only building like high-end customs or whatever. So I have plans of, getting into small batch production, wherein the custom frames are still there, but making small batch production, like say maybe 20 frames a month or something like that. So I want
Mm.
to work on that. So in any material that, I mean, I don't know at that point, in whatever is the best, I will go for it. Go for it.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
So, what is the process if someone wants to get a bike built from
Built
you?
from me. Okay. So first of all, it starts with a phone call wherein that I would want the, I mean, whatever the customer wants. For example, if maybe he wants a gravel bike, so then I'll ask him, okay, what kind of bike? So he'll be like, I want a gravel bike. Then I'll ask him, what kind of specifications you want. Sometimes people want a gravel bike, but which is like a little old school, with maybe a 118 straight steerer and external cable routing, regular QR or whatever. So it goes there. So he wants a gravel. Okay, next, do you want to have all these modern features like a tapered head tube, flat mount and through axle, internal cable routing and all that? So that is the second. Then if they want they want to build it in chromoly, they want to build in some of those exotic steels like Columbus XCR or Reynolds 853 or aluminum, titanium. I work a little bit with carbon also. So based on that, if they want what material they want, then I will collate all that information, and then I'll do my math. And the customer, for the order to be pakka, he will have to pay me 50% advance or whatever the cost has come up to. And with that 50%, I'll be booking a slot, uh, getting the ordering the raw materials, and I'll make a CAD file of how his frame is gonna. Obviously, before that, the geometry I mean, I share the link wherein he can measure himself and send the data, or if he's measured himself with a professional bike fitter, he can share that data with me. Or if he is ridden a particular model bike and which he found extremely comfortable doing, he can share that geometry or whatever brand. You can just share the geometry with me, and I'll build an exact geometry replica for him. And then he pays the 50%. And then, as the bike is being built, then the remaining 50%, I'm very flexible. I mean, it could be just 1000 rupees sometime, or maybe 5000 or whatever. So then, but at the time of delivery, I want the entire amount to be clear. So that is how it is. 50% advance, but that one bulk I would need.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. That's pretty neat. So to kind of take a step back,
Huh.
and before you said you started building bikes full time.
Hmm.
When did you go? You were working as in animation,
In animation.
and when did you take that step of going full time into frame building and
Yeah.
giving up the job? And when
Okay.
was it? And how hard was it? I would imagine that was a
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
hard call to
It is,
take.
it is still hard, not was. It is still hard. Let me tell you that. Okay, so first of all, I did not quit the job. Like I said, the in animation, once the job is done, niklo up. Once that is what was happening with me at least. So
Hmm.
this happened in like 2010, and they said this project is over. Then I searched for a job. I got a very small job, much lesser paying than the first one. I was doing that. That's when I thought, I'll just do this. At least give it a shot. If I'm successful or not, that's a different thing. I'll give it a shot. So, and my wife supported me for sure. She has been really supportive throughout. So yeah, that is how it is. But if you're asking me, it is in India, making custom frames and making a living out of it. It is a little tough, because most of the customers, they expect a space shuttle at the price of an auto rickshaw. Okay, so they come to me. I want this, I want that. Titanium frame, super lightweight. My budget is 10,000 rupees. I'm like, no, not happening. So that I get a lot of it. But and even when there are some customers, not some. I mean, nowadays, off late, most of my customers are like pretty well versed with the whole custom building thing. So they are not like that. But occasionally, there are some people, and I have to handle that. Then another thing is, uh, it is tough because there is the import charges and everything. Once those tubes land here, half of my profit is gone there itself. And if I increase the cost, then there are no takers for it. So
Right.
I am like walking a tightrope constantly. So that is how it is. But I'm just doing it, like I said, 20. I mean, for me, there is nothing other than bikes. I'm like super focused or dedicated, or whatever you want to call it. For me, it's just bikes all the time, every time.
I can totally imagine, man, this that the kind of challenges that you are facing day in and day out,
Yeah.
because we are we want everything very economically, right?
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
our Indian mentality is
Indian
like
mentality.
we are we are looking for deals, we are looking
Yes.
for the best possible discount, we
Correct.
are and then even if we want the best quality, we still want the discount, right?
Discount.
There is that.
There is
uh,
that.
yeah, so my question is like I mean, now you have done this for more than 10 years.
Yes. Yes.
What are the kind of challenges that you see day in and day out with
Uh,
this?
Day in and day out. See, first of all, um, just like I mentioned sometime back, so it doesn't give you enough, to to sustain the thing. There are a
The
lot of
customs.
yeah, a lot of overheads. I have to take care of this, that, and I'm working alone. I don't have a team right now. Within 10
Mm.
bikes, I'm just alone. So there is a lot of running around, and so I get my painting outsourced. So that guy is almost 50 kilometers from my place. So
Mm.
it's like a 100-kilometer journey just to get the thing painted. And if there is some issue at night, I bring the frame. It's looking good. I come home. I see, "Arey, there is a blemish. I have to go again." So that is one. And because there is not like a lot of income with this, so I'm taking up like two or three orders at one, and I'm working on two, three frames at one go. Any given time, I have like two or three projects going on simultaneously. So that kind of, some of my customers are very, very understanding. They are, they understand the whole process. So they don't bug me as much. Then there are, at times, some customers, they get a little furious because of getting delayed. And my health was not great for the past, some time, and a lot of delays happen because of that. And on top of it, I have to do all this running around things and all that. And like for this aluminum heat treatment, that's again very far from my house. So for that, I have to go. So just today morning, I was speaking to my wife. I want to hire someone, but then I can't pay him. The, so yeah, so that is how it is. So these are the challenges, but it's fun. I'll tell you all that. Maybe the thing may not be fetching me enough for money or whatever, but when I'm building a frame, there is nothing in the world that exists at that time. It is the most peaceful I am with myself, with everything. Whatever stress is going on in me, it all ceases to exist. It's beautiful when I'm building a frame. It's wonderful. I will
You
always
are
want to
in
do.
the flow. You get into the flow,
I
and
get
you
into the.
are.
I'm in my zone. I don't know what happens, but I'll tell you just recently what happened. I was bracing up a frame, and I was so excited to build that frame. And this frame is going to Vancouver, so I'm building up bracing up that frame. This is something evening at 7 o'clock or something. I started, and I forgot to switch on the exhaust, and I forgot to open the window for all that because brazing creates a lot of smoke and all that. I was all doing and doing, and after I'm completely in my zone. And after 1 or 2 hours, I'm finding it a little difficult to breathe. And I'm looking and everything. Okay, everything about this is smoke, and here it is, and it was full smoking. And then all anxiety kicked in. I'm like, I'm gonna die right now. Something is gonna happen. Should I rush to the hospital? What should I do? So then I immediately stopped everything. So when I get in my zone, yeah, this sometimes this happens.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, yes, yes. So, what kind of budget are people looking at when it comes to custom frame building?
Okay.
They want a custom frame, custom
Hmm.
bike. What is the kind of budget they're looking at? Definitely not 10K, but
Yeah, that's right. Disclaimer. So yeah, so the base, the most cheapest material that I use is unbranded, either Chinese or Taiwanese chromoly, not a brand. So that frame with regular quick release dropouts and straight head tube, external cable routing. This frame, full custom frame with whatever color the customer wants. This frame will cost 38,000 rupees just for the frame. Okay,
Mhm.
if he wants a fork extra, that will be around 8 to 9K. Okay, and the same frame, same material, but with through axle and all that, modern kind of a frame, that will be around 45,000 rupees for the frame.
Mm.
And then
Mm.
if I go to aluminum frame, say I'm building one with a Dedachi tube set, this frame will be in the ballpark of 65k. And then all the branded steels, Columbus Life and Columbus Zona and all that, that will also start at 65. It goes up all the way to 95 for Reynolds 853. It goes to 1.2 to 1.3 for Columbus XCR, and titanium will be in the ballpark of 1.6. Carbon will also be in that price bracket.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay, so you're looking at starting from anywhere from
38.
38 to 1.8,
1.6, 1.7.
1.7,
Yeah,
1.8 kind of thing.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. I mean, for that kind of money, you are going to ride something that is made for you.
For you,
That
exactly.
that
Yes.
is that is signaturely, that is yours. That is
Yours,
not going
yes.
to be available for anyone else in
Anyway,
the world.
that is right. That is
So
right.
that, I mean, that I think that is a great bargain, I would say,
Okay.
because it is something that, if one is inclined to have something that is special for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
That I think that would be a great place to start. And I
Yes.
would, if anyone listening is looking for a very, your own signature kind of, frame and bike, you know whom to reach out to.
Yes.
Praveen Prabhakaran of Intent Bikes is the guy.
Yes. Thank
Because
you.
I've seen recently you built a bike for
Yes.
Miran Thomas, and that's a beautiful
You
frame,
saw the
man.
bike?
Yeah, yeah, I rode
Oh,
with him.
wow.
He was showing off, and he had that Indian flag on the,
Yes, yes, yes.
you know, top tube and all. He was really happy, and he was
Wow.
showing off. He built it with all these,
Campagnolo.
Campanello and
Yeah.
older Campanello, I
Oh,
think,
yeah,
right?
1980s. Yeah.
It is beautiful, and I've seen
Thank you.
your work with, first with Shiva,
Yeah, Siva, yeah.
and oh, beautiful. I think he got a couple of
He
them
made
done
two
for you.
frames for me. One is a fixie, and the other is a frame with custom made stainless steel lugs, which is bonded to carbon fiber tubing.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was the
yeah, yeah.
first. So, incidentally, most 90% of my projects are a first time for me. Okay, like that Siva's bike is first, and then recently I built my very first tandem. I'd never built it before, and then similarly, there are I also built a bike for a differently able person. He doesn't have hands beneath this thing, so his bike has brake levers that are mounted on the top tube, and
Hmm.
a suspension fork which again I designed, which has got anti dive, so usually when you apply the brakes, the suspension just dives in a little bit. So this fork is designed in such a way that when you apply the brakes, it doesn't dive. Okay, but at the same time, it reacts to bumps that is coming from beneath. But when you apply the brakes, it doesn't dive. So I did
Oh,
all that so that because he doesn't have the upper arm to hold onto the brakes when it is, you're
right.
braking. So that for added safety for him, I did that. So a lot of things are like first time for me. I'm building a trike with three wheel independent suspension. Again, very first time, never done it. But when I take up these kind of projects, I am living that, when I'm sleeping and when I'm morning in the washroom or whatever, I'm just thinking on this. Oh, this is how it is gonna work. This is how it is going. And so it has happened many times. I hit a roadblock in my head. How this is gonna work. So it has happened like a bunch of times. I get this in my, I don't know, in my dream or subconscious, whatever it is, around 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. And oh God, say, I get up, I draw it on the paper so that I don't forget. And the next day, then I start working on it. So it has happened many times like that.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful.
Thank you.
I know it is challenging to kind of sustain on this, but I hope,
Yes.
people realize what you bring to the table, and what
Yeah.
a custom frame brings to them, right? And
Correct.
I hope I hope the Intent Bikes grows,
Thanks so much,
and
man.
reaches all corners of India,
Thanks.
because this is not something that is very common, right?
Yeah.
The frames, the big branded bikes are there all over. They made in factories,
Right.
uh, assembly lines that are never ending, but something that is hand built, with that passion, that is very specific to you.
Yeah.
It is very different.
Thanks
So
so much.
I hope all the very best for Intent Bikes.
Thanks so
Uh,
much.
so how can people reach out to you for these?
They can get connect with me on Facebook, or I have a page on Instagram under the same name, Intent Bikes. Or I think my number is floating everywhere, so they can call me. So yeah, they can connect with me anytime.
Okay,
I'm free
I'll
to take calls any time after 10 a.m. and all the way till 11 p.m. I can take calls as long as we were discussing bikes. I'm game, you know. Yeah.
Awesome. I will provide the links to your profile and
Yes.
your page in the show notes so that people can reach out to you.
Yes.
Uh, but amazing, man. This has been super fun,
Thank you so
and
much.
I wish you all the very best
I wish the
ahead.
best of luck to you too.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Venki.
That was my conversation with Praveen of Intent Bikes. I hope you enjoyed that. If you are enjoying these podcasts and are finding them useful, please consider supporting the podcast by subscribing to it on YouTube as well as on your favorite podcasting app. It really helps. Also, supporting the sponsors of the podcast is a great way to support the podcast itself. Thanks again for your continuous support. See you next week with another guest.